Welcome to Under the Quill. We're your hosts. I'm B.
And I'm Stuart. As an avid Lorcana player,
And a Lorcana newbie.
we want to talk about all things Lorcana, from playing the game to exploring the lore and the latest updates.
So today, I know we're talking about a quiz that Stuart made that started out as a Myers-Briggs personality test. Anyway, trial and error, figuring stuff out. He ended up changing it to just a personality quiz that turned into an ink pairing.
In Lorcana, with the 6 different inks, there's 15 different combinations that you can put the ink colors together. And then we base this personality test off of the 16 personalities. And so for the 16th personality, it's instead of just having one ink pairing, it's you explore all of them. You can't settle on one. You just love trying out different things.
Which I got the first time I did it.
So, yeah, we finished the ink quiz. It took quite a while to put together. We wanted to make sure that it was at least somewhat accurate in the questions that it asked, and like that it would hopefully give you an ink pairing that you enjoyed or at least didn't think about and matched your personality.
And I have to say, because I always thought that ink colors were just a color, but how do the colors translate to personality traits?
So we got the collector's guide, and it's a really fun read going through and looking at the different stories that go through the sets and everything that it describes in here. It's wonderful. But I wanted to summarize the inks page, and it talks about the personalities of the ink. Each one has a unique personality, and then when you combine them together, they create an even more unique personality. The amber ink is purposeful, patient, and dedicated. They often love working with other people. For emerald, the main word is flexible. They're quick thinking, but not necessarily book smart. Sapphire is intellectual. They love to plan or know something to win the day. Amethyst is wondrous. They're the ones who are incredibly powerful, but their power can get away from them. Ruby is daring, use speed and bravery, and steel is strong, so large and imposing, can apply huge amounts of brute force to get the job done. You take each of those, and you can see it reflected in the kind of cards that are different inks. So like ruby cards are daring. They are the ones that have the keyword reckless, which means that you have to challenge no matter what. They have rush, they have evasive. Amber cards are the ones that work really well when multiple characters are on the board. Sapphire cards, you have to be a little bit patient as they use strategies and items to build up win with like complicated strategies. So I just love how they have taken the different colors and made unique cards in each color and unique strategies to win the game in each color. And so I thought that would be an amazing personality test to take the ink colors and apply it to what the different kinds of personalities that are out there. So I first started it just with walking through each ink pairing and tying it to the 16 personalities. And it was a little more challenging than I thought it would be. I definitely got feedback from a couple people on how the ink pairings would match up with the 16 personalities because that was the framework that I was going on. And I know in the end, it felt like the 16 personalities describe so many different kinds of people. And so having the different ink pairings, it felt like there was one for each of the 16 personalities. And the more challenging part was coming up with the questions that would actually lead people to a personality that would match theirs. And I started out with, when I was a kid, I got the game Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, and it has a personality quiz at the beginning, which I always loved. I don't know why. The questions were kind of goofy, but they were so unique, and I remember that as a kid. And so I took those questions, put a Lorcana twist on them, and then like reassigned how they would work together to come to the 16 personalities.
Mind you, Stuart loves this quiz so much that I took it while we were dating. I've taken it since I've taken it since then, and our cousins have taken it too, because he's sat down and made them take this quiz.
I don't know what it is about it.
It is a good test.
Yeah.
I feel like the questions are quirky enough, and I feel like it very much fits. I feel like a lot of personality quizzes, it asks you a question and you're like, well, none of these really fit, but I will pick, whatever is the least offensive. But that personality quiz, I feel like however they set it up, the questions felt very like, oh, I would absolutely do that, or
Right.
that's absolutely what I would choose. So I feel like when you got your Pokemon at the end, it was like, oh, that's definitely me. Which, for the record, I was Chikorita, but everyone's aware.
Yeah, and I know it was really fun to take that quiz that I love so much. I forgot that I showed it to you while we were while we were dating. That's how nerdy I was. Um, so I love taking this quiz and applying it to Lorcana, and the results that you can get from this quiz, maybe it's accurate, maybe it's not. I did my best to make it fun at least. But they're less applying to like if you got purple, like got amethyst steel, it's less that you're most likely to play that deck that's so popular in the meta right now, and more so if you look back at set, I believe 7, Arcasia's Island. It's the one where they came out with dual ink cards, which had unique personalities and unique characters. So the test is tied less to the meta decks right now and like the best deck that's out there. So if you get Emerald Sapphire, doesn't mean that you should be playing that ink pairing. It just means that based on the personality of Emerald Sapphire Glimmers, that's likely what you would pick if you were in the realm of Lorcana. And I relate it more to the dual ink cards that have come out, where like for Amber Emerald, for example, a lot of it is Lady and the Tramp cards. It's cards that work together when there's multiple characters on the field. There's the mice from Cinderella, I believe, have a dual ink card. And it's taking those personalities, those characters that were put onto the dual ink cards, and what personality would that have? And so that's my test is leaning towards that kind of ink pairing rather than the meta decks. We're really excited about this quiz, and we have put it on a Google form so you can go and take it. The link will be in the description of the video. And I've also put it out on Discord, and I've had some pretty positive feedback from the smaller communities that we've tested it out on. And we're, I don't know, really excited, proud of how it's turned out, and hopefully you'll have some fun taking it.
So you called me today and you got really excited. And I didn't understand why you said a lot of words I didn't get. But I did say I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. So here we are on the podcast. So start at the beginning.
So, as I daydream about what would happen if I went into the realm of Lorcana. That first question is, what ink pairing would I have? And the second question is, what would my ink caster look like? So the ink caster is the tool that you use to bring the characters to life, and it can look like anything. The 3 characters that were introduced at the beginning of the story had all different ink casters. One of them had a staff that looked like a pen because they were a poet. The second person had this like gauntlet or glove that sat on his hand, and we later learned that he was like an inventor or a computer programmer. So it was like a magical device that he had on his hand. And the third Illumineer has a guitar because they're a musician. So it's like all these different ways that you can be creative and use your imagination in the real world, and then that translates into your ink caster in Lorcana.
Oh, so this is that conversation that we had where you said, what are the different tools that you use to be creative?
Yeah.
Because I know we've had this conversation quite a few times, like a sewing needle, a crochet hook, microphone. Wink, wink. I'm just kidding. But that's where this ties in into your ink caster.
Yeah. So as people who are summoned to the realm of Lorcana have an extraordinary imagination, so they are creative, they are inventive, they take things and make amazing things out of it.
It's kind of like a cutie mark.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
So some of the ideas that we had for an ink caster are like a paintbrush, like sewing needles, or like knitting, like giant knitting needles would be kind of cool.
2 of them, just like
Yeah, like a dual
dual
ink
wielder.
casters. Yeah. Someone mentioned that I was talking to from the Ink Table podcast that their ink caster would be this like quill that was like large, like a staff, but that it could shrink down and be the size of a pen for like, so you could write stuff, and then would come back and be a large ink caster again. I thought that was a cool idea. So other creative ways that we thought of were cooking, like you could have a giant whisk or
Oh,
things
cool.
like that. Embroidery, forging or welding. sculpting, pottery, map making. You could have like some cool tools at the end of a staff.
Kind of like a spyglass.
Yeah, yeah, or like the compass or those tools to look at the stars kind of thing. Jewelry, gemstones. You could have a wand or quill, a conductor's baton for music, cutting hair, makeup, magic tricks. Like there's so many different ways you can be creative, and you could either make a staff really cool by having those items on there, or just have like we said, like a knitting needle or a giant paintbrush kind of
And
thing.
that was because just before we started this, you showed me a picture of Ariel. I don't know if you can pull it up while we're recording.
Yeah, so they've revealed the promo cards for the Wilds Unknown.
So specifically, you showed me this Ariel card, and she has staff, but at the end of the staff is an anchor. So it doesn't have to fully be the object. It can be objects that are amalgamated together.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause this one, so how many have they shown then?
So there's one of these for each ink color.
Oh, cool. Okay,
So
so
like there's the Queen of Hearts. I can't tell the Queen of Hearts in Ruby. I can't quite tell what hers is.
it looks like almost like a glass. Like, what is she holding?
I don't know. I can't quite tell.
It almost looks like she ripped off the top part of a glass dome. Like that's half the liquid there, and that's
Right.
part of the liquid there. Okay,
So
can I
I
see
don't
the
know.
other ones?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like Pocahontas has this like wooden staff
Wow, that's
that looks
beautiful.
amazing. Maleficent has one that looks like
Kind of like her magic staff in the movie.
yeah, yeah. Cruella has a shorter one.
Oh, it's very like greenery plants, and I wouldn't have thought of that with Cruella
With
de
Cruella,
Vil.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But these mostly seem very staff-like. That seems to be a little bit of the default. Is that
I
Cinderella?
thought you mentioned this one. The Cinderella card is amazing.
Gasp. It's sewing. Look there, it's a little like pin cushion.
Isn't that so cool?
Discuss. Oh my gosh, it is a pin cushion. Oh, I'm obsessed. Do you think we could make a replica?
I would
Do you think we
absolutely
could
the
make a replica?
cosplay potential for these. I just thought the timing was so cool that we were thinking about what's your ink pairing and what's your ink caster, and then they've released these promo cards that have characters with cool ink
And
casters.
are these cards that you could only get in tournaments, or are these cards that will be in the regular set?
So they'll be in the regular set, but this unique border that's on the card where it's like book pages at the bottom, you can only get those by going to your local game
Do you have to
store.
win?
Um,
I want that Thunder.
I think it depends on it depends on the store, but yes, we will absolutely be working for that Cinderella card.
I I only play with one deck. I'm a little bit of a diehard for my deck. It's a princess deck that is green and yellow.
Amber and Emerald.
It feels like when you go to Starbucks and you're like, I want a small, and they're like, you want a venti? I don't even think that's right. I think I'm saying that wrong. And you just look at them like, I promise I'm not an idiot. Green and yellow. Emerald and amethyst? No, that's wrong.
Emerald and Amber.
Emerald and amber.
Yep.
So I have an emerald and amber deck. So I love that Cinderella card, but it is blue. That's not right. It is
You could always change up your deck if you wanted to.
azul. That's not it either. That's blue in Spanish.
Oh,
Dora.
oh, it's sapphire.
That one. Anyway, so if I want that Cinderella card, I may have to move some stuff around.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, and then what is this? Buzz Lightyear I'm looking at.
Yeah, so we're just looking at lorcanaplayer.com at all the different cards that have been revealed for Wilds Unknown. So they're introducing Pixar cards. So like Buzz Bodie will be in there. Merida.
Okay. So they've released 204 cards out of this set?
No, so there will be 204 in the set in total. And this is just the number.
Interesting. So how many have they released? How many have they released? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so like 20-ish.
Yeah,
cards.
20 or some cards.
Okay. Do you think they will reveal any more of the ink casters?
That's just one thing I almost forgot about. So they have revealed a few more ink casters but they're in specific places. So there's 2 ink casters that are on cards that were from like past Illumineers.
They
It's on
aren't the three.
right. There aren't the 3 main characters in the
What are
story.
they?
So one's called the Hidden Ink Caster, and that's I mentioned Arcasia's Island earlier. Arcasia was an Illumineer, and she lost her ink caster, but they ended up finding it and returning it to her as part of that story.
Arcasia is the owl, right?
Arcasia is the owl, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So she has an ink caster that looks really cool. There's the enigmatic ink caster that belongs to an Illumineer named Hannah, but we've only read a journal that's written by her. We haven't met her yet.
See, and I love, sorry, this tangent. I love the extra content. The stuff in the back, I personally really want to collect those like puzzle pieces and the journal entries.
Oh,
I feel like,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm only interested in that stuff because of you. Because otherwise I'd be like, okay, extra cut. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't care. But from you, I've learned that it's like kind of this like Nancy Drew, like we're putting this
There's so
together.
many things, yeah.
So Hannah, but from one journal entry.
So I want to say there's like 5 or 6 cards now that have journal entries from her journal that they found, but they haven't met Hannah yet.
So you think she's like an OC?
Yeah, I think she's one of the original. I'm not quite sure on that. I've heard other people say she's a new Illumineer since the beginning, so I don't think we quite know who she is yet.
This is probably not a character. They're going to be like, oh, there's this unnamed Disney character that you didn't realize was in third frame of the Hercules movie that's named Hannah. Like this is probably a new...
Yeah, unique to Lorcana. Okay. Yeah.
I wonder why they kept her hidden.
That is a good question. I don't know.
Interesting.
But there's 2 other ink casters that we've seen that we don't know who they belong to yet, and they're in the puzzles that they've released. So this was a couple months ago now. They released a puzzle with each of the ink colors, and at the bottom they have the 3 main Illumineers and their ink casters. You can just see the ink caster in the photo. They have Arcasia's ink caster in the green one, and then in the steel one they have an ink caster that's unique. We haven't seen it before.
If you had to guess whose it is,
I think it's one of the original Illumineers.
What about the other one?
The other one might be new because Arcasia's Inkcaster and Hannah's Inkcaster look really similar to the steel one, and they just look like stabs with like kind of similar tops on them. But the red puzzle has an Inkcaster that's a pen, like holding in your hand, little pen. And I think that's going to be a new Illumineer. That's
not Hannah?
That's not Hannah, no.
Interesting.
So anyway, there's all these
Where did this fall in with the daring duck thing that we still haven't made a video about? We will, for anyone listening. It will be put up before this podcast drops tomorrow.
Yep.
So help me. I'm just kidding. But you talked about daring duck art.
Darkwing Duck.
Oh my God. That's okay. I'm a newbie. So Darkwing Duck, it's not an ink caster that he has.
Correct. Yeah, there's unique Lorcana items throughout the story. So there's coils that you wear on somewhere on your body, on your wrist, on your shoulder. There's what are they called? Oh, chromacons that are unique to Lorcana. And then there's just other items that have been created for Lorcana, and the sphere that's in the Darkwing Duck card there's a sphere for every color, and we think that sphere is the sapphire version of like Fortisphere or Vitalisphere, Retrosphere, those cards. So
can you explain to me? So Inkcaster, I'm assuming, is the tool that they use to turn their ink into characters that quest for them.
Yes.
In the lore of it all.
Yeah.
Where do the items fit in? The items are just helpful things to help you quest?
Yeah, I think the coils help you. They were made by Arcasia while they were out on the island to help them dual ink cast. So creating a glimmer that's 2 ink colors at once. And then I think the other items are just, I don't know if we know the purpose of all of them yet. I know the chromacons, they needed the amber chromacon to fix the illuminary. And the spheres we don't quite know yet. Yeah, it's just part of the mystery.
Can I ask a question about? I'm sorry, I have so many questions tonight. But so with dual ink pairings, if I had a emerald and amber card, could I only play that in an emerald and amber deck?
Yes.
So isn't that more limiting than it is like exciting?
It's exciting because you can only play it in that certain kind of deck. It makes you like there's the card that I think about is a Ludwig von Drake card. That's a Amber Sapphire, and when it first came out, it was such a really powerful card. You get to look at your opponent's hand and discard a card from their hand that's not a character, and it has another inking effect. Like it was just really, really strong, but it was in an ink pairing that wasn't very popular. It wasn't very strong at the time. So they make these powerful cards that can only be in certain decks, so that you have to play that deck or you have to be creative to try and make that ink pairing work.
Okay. So I think that was everything we wanted to talk about today. But with the next set, when does the next set come out?
Oh gosh, in May, I think the second week of May is when it comes out.
So, kind of wrapping up for today. That was everything we wanted to talk about. But next week, what's on the schedule?
So next week is the beginning of set championship season for this set. So for the next, I believe starting on Saturday is when the first set championships are coming out, and for the next like 4 weeks, will be set championships at different stores. So we wanted to talk about unique or rogue decks that you can take to set championships, either to try and like sneak a win in and like beat the meta, or the way that we like to play, just have fun and take in deck that will surprise people and make you smile, make everyone smile. So yeah, we'll talk about all the different unique decks that you can take.
This week, if anyone wants to drop what they think their ink caster would be personally, I think that would be really fun. So please shoot us a comment letting us know. We could share ours too.
Yeah.
I would love to say that mine would be a pen because I'm a writer, but now I feel like that's incredibly unoriginal. So I would like to think that mine would be a bookmark, some kind of really cool, maybe like on a ribbon. Those are my favorite bookmarks, where it's like a ribbon and beads, and it's like my little lasso ink caster. But in reality, it's a bookmark.
I love that.
Bringing books to life. And what do you feel like yours would be?
I think mine would be, I talked about the map making tools. I'm obsessed with maps and like going on Google Earth and looking at stuff. So I think it would be either like a staff with like a rolled up scroll or something, or just the different tools they use for map making. I think they're fascinating.
Yeah, I can vouch for your love of maps. It's very cute.
So thanks for listening. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in, and hopefully you enjoy that ink personality quiz. We've really enjoyed putting it together, and we will see you next week.
Happy questing!